What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the Carolina Panthers Season Preview for the 2021 NFL season, including record predictions. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick, as we continue this series, we continue on with the NFC South, and today we're going to be talking about the Carolina Panthers. So let's start with some of their key additions that they made to this team coming over from last year. We have quarterback Sam Darnold, wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr. coming in the second round of the NFL draft, cornerback Bouye, linebacker Hasaan Reddick, linebacker Denzel Perryman, cornerback Jaycee Horn in the first round, Cam Erving, the tackle, Dan Arnold, tight end, Pat Elflein, offensive lineman, David Moore, the wide receiver, Chuba Hubbard, and Deontay Brown coming in the back end of this draft. Who did you think was the biggest acquisition for this team moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always going to be the quarterback, except in this case, I'm going cornerback, Jaycee Horn. To me, Jaycee Horn was a huge acquisition in the first round of the draft. He is going to be great for them. And if Carolina knows how to draft a position, it's cornerback. Josh Norman balled out there. James Bradbury balled out there. Now it's time for Jaycee Horn to make his mark on the NFL in Carolina as part of the Panthers this season. In the first day of mini camps this season, he had a huge interception off of Sam Darnold, and everybody heard about it. I think that's just the beginning of what Jaycee Horn is going to bring. I think once he gets comfortable on this defense in the NFL, he's going to start being a terror for quarterbacks all around the league.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest acquisition should probably be the guy you just mentioned, quarterback Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is the biggest key for this team moving forward. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to rule this division. They are a Super Bowl team. They brought everybody back. They're looking to run it back this year. But Tom Brady, Father Time doesn't know where this man lives. It doesn't matter. He's not going to play forever. And the Carolina Panthers are looking for the future. Sam Darnold is their future. They got their guy, and they didn't have to trade away crazy draft picks to get him. They got him from the Jets, who were looking to move on from him anyway. So they got a steal of a player here. And as the Jets fans in my life can attest, I have been a fan of Sam Darnold. Have I made fun of him? Sure. Why not? I'm a Patriots fan. That's what I do. But Sam Darnold is a very good quarterback, and he has the potential to even be great. Now in Carolina, away from Adam Gase and the Jets organization, I believe he's going to be able to unlock that potential in Matt Rule's system, get back to some of the things he does really well. Look for Sam Darnold to be a key piece for this Carolina Panthers, not only this year, but for many, many years to come. Then we take a look over at the key losses that this team suffered, and we start off with Teddy Bridgewater at the quarterback position, Stephen Weatherly, Curtis Samuel at the wide receiver position, Mike Davis, the running back, Tyler Larsen, Efe Obada, and Corn Elder. Which one of these do you think is the biggest loss for the Carolina Panthers moving forward?
You know, I really think that the loss of Curtis Samuel is going to be an impact. Although they did get David Moore and he's going to be the replacement or try to be, Curtis Samuel really got into the groove in Matt Rule's system last season, and I think that he started working really well as that underneath role to DJ Moore working over the top. I think Curtis Samuel is going to be a piece missing from this offense early on in the season as Terrace Marshall gets used to this offense and David Moore starts learning it as well. David Moore isn't as fast as Curtis Samuel. He's not as shifty. I think that's the kind of piece that they're going to be missing. He was a perfect offset to what DJ Moore had to offer, and I think that he's going to be the biggest loss this season.
Absolutely. I think Stephen Weatherly is actually the biggest loss for this team because this is the one position they actually didn't replace. Stephen Weatherly put out some really big numbers for this Panthers team, and I truly believe that what he is going to be able to do in other places is not going to be replicated what is going to fill in Carolina. So I believe that the loss of Weatherly is going to impact this team dramatically. I hope it doesn't impact them too much, but we'll see if they can find somebody to come in and take over his job either way. Let's take a look at their schedule so we can get to the record predictions. All right, starting off with week 1, we have the New York Jets visiting Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers. Look for this to be an absolute slaughter with Sam Darnold getting his revenge game early with the New York Jets. I believe that the Panthers are going to be firing on all cylinders. They're at home. They're going to want to win this game for Sam. I believe that the Panthers come out victorious in this one, and it's not going to even be close.
Then in week 2, the New Orleans Saints make their way to Carolina for the first time this season as Sam Darnold and Jameis Winston face off for the first time as new quarterbacks of their respective teams, and it's two high-powered offenses going up against each other. It's going to be an absolute shootout between these two teams, but the Carolina Panthers are going to have final possession. Sam Darnold's going to bring them home a W in week 2.
Then in week 3, we have the Carolina Panthers facing off against the Houston Texans, and this is their first road game of the season, but it's not Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson will not be playing for the Houston Texans this season, at least in our eyes. And for this prediction, we're going to continue on with that sentiment. So I believe that the Carolina Panthers are going to have a very easy road in Houston to their third straight victory to open up the 2021 season.
Moving into week 4, we have the Carolina Panthers making their way to Dallas against the Cowboys in a very big matchup. Again, two high-powered offenses against each other, and it comes down to defenses. To me, the Carolina Panthers have the slight edge. Their secondary is stronger. They should be able to stop some of these weapons that the Cowboys have to offer, and their defensive line is strong enough. They still have Derek Brown, who's their first-round pick last year. He's going to help stop Ezekiel Elliott. The Carolina Panthers are going to edge out week 4 against the Cowboys.
Then in week 5, the Philadelphia Eagles come into Carolina right down I-95, and Carolina Panthers, they are on a roll here. They have 4 wins coming into this matchup, and the Eagles are a bit reeling so far, and I believe that the Panthers are going to capitalize on this matchup. They're going to dominate the Eagles, put them out of their misery, and really set a tone for the season going 5-0.
Moving into week 6, the Minnesota Vikings make their way to Carolina as the Panthers have their first real test of the season as Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook are going to be a little too much for Carolina to handle. It's going to be just like the Cowboys where it's a lot to handle on offense, but the Vikings defense, Patrick Peterson was a big addition to the secondary along with Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr making their way back from injury this season. To me, this is going to be a tough team to get past, and the Vikings are going to take the win into week 6.
All right, sitting at 5-1, the Carolina Panthers go on the road to visit the New York Giants, again, right up I-95, so not too far from home at all. And in fact, the New York Giants are another team that reloaded this offseason. So both teams still getting into their comfort zone with their new teams, with all their new weapons. And I believe that the Panthers are going to edge this one out in a very close matchup. I believe that they are going to be able to swarm Daniel Jones. And the Giants' offensive line has not truly improved, and I believe that this defensive line is going to create all sorts of problems for Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones against that offensive line.
Starting off hot at 6-1, moving into week 8, the Carolina Panthers make their way to Atlanta facing the Falcons for the first time this season, and this is not the same Falcons team. Their offense is okay now that Julio Jones is gone, but the defense is just not anywhere near what it used to be. It's similar to what it was last season, and now you don't have either of the two safeties that they had in last season as well. The Carolina Panthers should have a pretty easy time taking week 8 against the Falcons.
Then in week 9, the Carolina Panthers go back home and face the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick is coming to town. And I look for the Patriots to continue their role in their season. I believe that the Patriots are going to be able to dominate Sam Darnold as they consistently did while he was in New York. I think that they're going to be able to show him different looks. They're going to be able to mask their coverages, mask their blitz schemes, and they're going to really rush at him from all different angles. They're not going to really let him get any sort of comfortability in the pocket. I believe Bill Belichick has Sam Darnold's number, and he's going to show it again in week 9.
In week 10, the Carolina Panthers make their way to Arizona to try to get retribution for that second loss of the season, except it's the Arizona Cardinals where JJ Watt's on one side, Chandler Jones is on the other, and on the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray is throwing to DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, and a litany of other big stars. It's going to be way too much for the Carolina Panthers to handle. The Cardinals should have a pretty easy time in week 10.
Then in week 11, the Carolina Panthers host the Washington football team, and they've gone on a little skid here. You know, they had some trouble with the Patriots and the Cardinals. Now with the Washington football team, they get to see Curtis Samuel, the wide receiver that left them, comes back home to Carolina. This is kind of like where your new girlfriend meets your old girlfriend. The Carolina Panthers are trying to showcase their new team, their new weapons at the wide receiver position, and say, we upgraded. So I believe that the Carolina Panthers are absolutely going to put on a show against Washington in week 11 and dominate this football game.
That was quite the analogy right there, I might say. But anyway, week 12, Carolina Panthers at Miami. It's going to be a tough matchup. This is another sneaky team that has a very strong offense, but also a very strong defense. They still have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard locking down the secondary, and I think that the Dolphins have the offensive weapons to keep up with the Panthers, and they also have the defense to keep up with the Panthers as well. I think that the Panthers are just going to struggle a little bit with how this Dolphins team is structured. Brian Flores is still one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I think he's going to prove it in this matchup.
Then in week 13, the Carolina Panthers have a very late bye for their season, but nonetheless get some nice time off. And then in week 14, they host the Atlanta Falcons, who they got the better of in the first matchup, and I believe that, they are going to continue on their roll, but unfortunately, it's not going to be this week, where I think the Atlanta Falcons will best the Carolina Panthers. I think that the Falcons have what it takes to handle some of their divisional opponents. This is a team that knows and understands how to play football still. Calvin Ridley is an absolute stud at the wide receiver position, and Kyle Pitts, don't sleep on this man, because I believe he is arguably one of the best tight ends in the league. He's going to put his talents on showcase for all to see against the Carolina Panthers in week 14.
And it doesn't get any easier from there, as in week 15 they go to Buffalo to face the Bills in what's going to be a very good matchup. I think that they are very well paired for each other, but the Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen, who just continues to get better, and Stephon Diggs really is working well with Josh Allen in the first year and a half that they've been together. Buffalo Bills are going to continue their success, and they're going to take week 15 against the Carolina Panthers.
Then in week 16, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visit the Carolina Panthers, and the Buccaneers are in for quite a rude awakening, because they've been rolling all over the league, and they're kind of reeling at this point. If you followed our Buccaneers video from a couple days ago, you're going to see and understand that the Panthers are in a spot where, now they're reeling, the Buccaneers are reeling. One of these two teams has to figure it out. I think that the Panthers edge this one out against the Buccaneers. They continue the losing streak for Tampa Bay, but the Panthers get back to their winning ways. They showcase their talents. Another divisional game, absolutely explosive. I expect a lot of scoring in this one. Look for the Carolina Panthers to come out on top.
After a huge win against the Buccaneers in week 16, the Panthers are 9-6, and they're looking to potentially take the division and lead the NFC into the playoffs as they go into week 17 and face the Saints. This is a big matchup, but the Saints are going to prove to be a little too much. This is going to be where Jameis Winston really has a big game. This is where he works well with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. This is where the Saints really make their mark and continue their win streak. I think the Carolina Panthers have a little bit of a setback right here in week 17.
That is tough. Sitting at 9-7, the Carolina Panthers go on the road for the second time in 3 weeks. They face off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this time is to end the season in week 18. I believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are here to make a statement. They are still fighting for that number 1 seed in the NFC, and I believe that the Buccaneers are going to have their stars out in alignment. They are going to have Mike Evans, Tom Brady, and company out there against the Carolina Panthers, who are also fighting for playoff positioning. but I believe the Buccaneers are going to be a little too much. They saw them just a couple weeks ago. Tom Brady doesn't make the same mistake twice, and I believe that the Buccaneers will come out on top in this very close matchup.
Sitting at 9-8 on the season, if you look at how it played out, the Carolina Panthers had a very friendly first half of the season as most of these matchups favor them. But then it gets really tough as they face the Patriots and the Cardinals back to back, and then they face the Saints and Buccaneers to end the season. That is very, very tough. Divisional matchups are always extremely hard to come by, and also the Bills are right there as well. That's just a lot of bad luck going their way. I think it's going to be a struggle, but I think that it may just be enough for them to make the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.